Hello, my friends. Just before we get into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that all of my courses remain fully available and you can do them at your own pace. Yes, I took a courageous pivot and scaled down my business, but I also know how powerful these courses have been for thousands of people over the last 15 years in kickstarting their own courageous pivots. Whether it's to take ownership over your health and learn to eat well and serve your family well, or maybe it was to learn how to master your money, tune into your heart, build community, build a business. It's all still there, ready and waiting for you. We even have our Culinary One Pass, which is your all-access pass to all of the courses I previously taught through the Academy of Culinary Nutrition. Head on over to fun.megantelpner.com/shop to explore the courses. You can use code THANKYOU25 to get 25% off your choice of courses. Thanks for listening, and here is today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to The Courageous Pivot. I am your host, Meghan Telpner, and I am so glad you are here diving deep with me. If you are just tuning in for the first time, here's what the show is all about. We're talking about the moments when life calls you to make a shift. A brave, sometimes messy, often illogical, but always meaningful pivot. In the last episode, I interviewed my girlfriend, Angela de la Agua, of Joshua Tree, at least at the time we recorded it. What was interesting is that shortly after, like a few days, she told me that she gave notice on her place that she was living in, was canceling an upcoming retreat that she actually spoke about on that episode, and was waiting to find out where life was going to take her. And what's really important and powerful to know is that even when you're well-versed in the journey of following the heart, of listening, it doesn't always get easier in terms of the uncertainty. It's really just about becoming more comfortable with it, which I have not yet learned, although I do trust it. But there is power in that discomfort. And so today we are going to be talking about how you actually start to tune in, and I'm going to be sharing that technique with you. Ultimately, what we're doing here is talking about the moments when life calls you to make a shift. A brave, sometimes messy, usually completely illogical, but always meaningful pivot. Whether it's in your work, your relationships, your health, or your way of living, the courageous pivot asks just one thing of you, one simple little thing, which is to listen to yourself and then to follow what's true. Over our first few episodes, we laid out the groundwork for what this podcast is here to explore. A little summary, if you will. In episode 1, we defined what a courageous pivot really is. And it's not just quitting your job or making a huge life change. It's choosing alignment over obligation, freedom, real freedom over fear, and truth over approval. In episode 2, we talked about the whisper before the leap, what your body is trying to tell you, that quiet nudge that something's got to shift, and before you even know what might be coming next. We explored how to recognize that whisper, how to honor it, and why it's so easy to ignore. And in episode 3, I shared my personal journey, what it looked and felt like to scale down, slow down, and eventually hit pause on a very successful business. It wasn't about walking away from something broken. It was about walking towards something that was more whole, my own personal wholeness. And again, this could sound selfish or self-indulgent, but as we're going to talk about today, when you follow the path of the heart, the coherence that you find, the harmony within yourself, actually is powerful beyond measure and impacts everyone around you. And in the last episode, we spoke to Angela, who offered a living example of how this came about in her own life. And as we move through this series, I'll have more and more guests that what I have found interesting, even in the short time I've been interviewing, just as we're getting started, the language that everyone is using. It's all the same. I'm not planting anything. I do not give anyone the questions in advance, but the same words, the same feelings, the same sentiments come up over and over again, which is often why it resonates so deeply as you're listening. You get little moments of goosebumps or chills because it's truth that that really resonates on a cellular level of our existence as humans on this planet at this time. I'm not saying this might be true for all times or all humans, but I do trust you found this for a good reason. So if you haven't heard those early episodes yet, I'd encourage you to go back and give them a listen as they set the foundation for today and also the conversations that are going to come. Today, we're going deeper into the part of us that knows what we need, even when our mind hasn't caught up yet, or is resisting when our body definitely does know. You've probably heard the phrase, listen to your heart. It's in this exact moment that I wished I knew how royalties worked, because I would blast out the chorus of Roxette's song, the classic, epic song, Listen to Your Heart. Second to that would be for me to sing it myself, but I won't put you through that level of cringe. Even I have my limits. So maybe hit pause, go grab your hairbrush, get in front of the mirror, blast that song, and sing along like you mean it. Because the lyrics go, I'm going to try again not to sing. Listen to your heart when he's calling for you. Maybe it's a she. Listen to your heart. There's nothing else you can do. I don't know where you're going and I don't know why, but listen to your heart before you tell him goodbye. Roxette makes it sound so simple and, of course, in tune, but most of us were never taught how to do that. We were taught to make, quote, smart choices, to do what's logical, responsible, impressive, or expected. Follow the blueprint that was set out for us by our parents, by our friends, by the institutions we graduated from, or the corporation we work for, or even within our own entrepreneurial communities. How many times have you made a pro and con decision, but then ultimately at the end of the list, it didn't align with what you actually felt like you wanted to do? My son does this. He'll flip a coin between two choices he wants, but ultimately goes with what's in his heart, no matter what the coin says. We live in a culture that centers the brain as the most powerful organ of the body, and logic prized above all other sources of wisdom and knowledge. But what if the heart were central? I'm not going to go too far into this here, as I do have a free training on the heart-brain connection and coherence. I want you to go to thecourageouspivot.com, scroll down, and you'll see this free training, where I do go into the details of how this all works. But what matters here is this. The heart is our wisdom center. The heart reads the energy of the room. This is absolute fact, proven by science. The heart's language is energy, and it can only know the present moment. The heart's wisdom isn't based on fear or worry or anxiety, and it is the heart that is the seat of our own inner wisdom, our intuition, and the connection to the infinite intelligence that connects us all. The heart is the seat of your inner knowing. This isn't just some poetic metaphor. It is actually the most intelligent guide we have. And that is what we're exploring today. So if this sounds wild and out there for you, even more so, I want you to stick with me. Hear me out here. I'm going to talk about what it actually means to tune into your heart and why the mind can't always lead your pivot. I also am going to share about how heart coherence is the foundation for intuition and also self-confidence, meaning the root of making decisions that you feel very sure about. And at the very end, as a little addendum, I'll share a short coherence practice that invites you to tap in and also share where you can get more of it if that resonates with you. So first, let's dive into why the mind isn't enough. Most of us are trying to think our way to clarity. We research, analyze, make lists, pros and cons, spreadsheets, ask 17 people for advice, post polls on social media so people who don't know us at all can chime in. We become absolutely exhausting humans when we need to make a decision. And it's not wrong. The mind is an amazing tool, but it was never meant to be the sole authority on your life, because the mind is wired for safety and for repetition. The mind is where we let fear rule, where we let worries about our future and ruminations on the past fester and determine the path of our lives. The mind's job is to keep you in familiar territory, even if that territory is burning you out or shrinking your soul. As humans, we are extremely tightly wired to sniff out anything that is a threat. And change reads as a threat, even if or when our current comfort zone isn't actually comfortable at all. It can be literally killing us, but we know it, and so we feel at ease within it. It's like the devil we know, right? That's why when you're considering a pivot, your mind might say, but you've invested so much, you can't afford to start over, or what will people think, or you should just be grateful. Meanwhile, your heart might be whispering something entirely different. But in a world that values logic over inner knowing, we forget how to hear it. We have forgotten how to tune in to the network of wisdom that comes from the heart. Now, I'm not so woo-woo, well, maybe I am, but for the sake of my argument here, I'm not so woo as to suggest that if you start to meditate regularly, the answer to all of life's questions will suddenly flow in and life falls into a permanent state of ease. I've been meditating for 25 years and I'm still not living in an infinite state of ease. But, and this is an important one, if you don't learn how to tune in, you may never find a place of ease, like not even moments of it. And it is in this place of ease that we find the answers. And this is our human biology. When we are in a state of fear, we are operating out of the reptilian brain. I always point to the back of my head, the brainstem area. This is the fear center, where the primary job is to keep us surviving, keep us alive, not thriving, just alive. When you enter a state of coherence or flow, you move into the prefrontal cortex. I always point to the front part of my head, which is the center of creative thinking, critical thinking, and problem solving. In short, this is where elevated ideas of what is possible can drop in. When you're not regularly in practice, the most common times that this can happen when you least expect it is when you're in the shower, taking a bath, or going for a walk, somehow connected to the basic elements of our earth. We lose track of time as we come back to ourselves. And the more time you spend there, in that place of flow, the clearer things become. In other words, the more you are able to bring yourself into this state, the more you are able to tune into the wholest expression of yourself and in turn, make decisions that are in line with who you really are today. Not who other people tell you you are, not who your ego thinks you should be, just who you are at your core. Is this making sense? The most basic way to tune in is to consider the feelings of expansion versus contraction. Does a person, thought, or idea make you feel contracted, a tightness, a sense of pushing or forcing? The alternate experience is that of expansion, a feeling of openness, peace, even if the choice is scary. Now, that doesn't mean the path will be easy or free of challenges, but it will tell you, yes, this is your next step. So I want to invite you right now, if it feels safe, just place a hand on your heart and take one deep breath. We'll do it together. Count in to 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 4. So we'll go inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. For that 12 seconds, you dropped out of your head for just a moment. And do you know what happens when you tune in? Well, that's the practice. You don't really know, but that is how you start to hear your heart again. And I say again because we are born knowing this, and then we lose it. I'm not going to go through a full coherence practice right now as it's a bit awkward mid-podcast, but I do have a free session for you. I want you to go to courageouspivot.com and scroll down till you see the free coherence session. You'll get instant access to this. There's no catches. I want you to start to understand what it feels like to be in this place, because it feels good. It can be anxiety-ridden, but that can also just be the undoing. Sometimes stress leaving your body feels a lot the same as it does coming in, but if you don't ever learn to stop and slow down, you're just going to be inundating and filling that cup until it overflows. The reason I'm bringing this up, which might be, not making sense entirely, but there is a good reason, and it is that the process of heart coherence is at the core of us tapping into our intuition, which is ultimately how we can build confidence in our decision-making process and dare to make those courageous pivots with certainty, even if we are completely uncertain of the outcome. And the reason why I use this one technique of heart coherence is because it's backed by a whole lot of science. It's accessible, it uses language you're familiar with, and you can feel the difference when you practice. You feel better. Here, I want to bring up a bit of science, as I've mentioned, as this isn't just poetic imagery. There is the research behind it, and the HeartMath Institute is the hub of that research. It has studied heart-brain connection for decades and found that the heart has its own intelligence. Down the line, I hope to be able to bring guests on the show who are true experts and authors on this subject to further expand and explain. But as a novice, I will do my best here. The heart communicates with the brain, influences your emotions, and plays a powerful role in your intuition. Now, what you have to know is that the heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. So if you can learn how to tap into that heart coherence, that harmony with the heart, it can influence how the brain actually works, how it processes information and receives and perceives the world around it. When I talk about heart coherence, it is when your heart rhythm is smooth and harmonious. It's not about a heartbeat, it's about the rhythm in between. This in turn sends the signals to the brain that you are safe and the prefrontal cortex can be activated. You move out of that reptilian brain into the front creative thinking, problem-solving zone. If you are constantly in the fight or flight mode, stressed and overstimulated, you stay in that fight or flight reptilian brain. You continue operating out of fear. So you can create this state very simply just by focusing on your breathing, like I did with that 4 breath count. You can do it by practicing gratitude, incorporating a gratitude practice into your morning, evening, midday, and also from heart-based awareness. Sometimes simply putting your hand on your heart, taking a deep breath, and what I like to envision is the Care Bears doing the Care Bear stare with those hearts bursting out of their bellies. And here's what's amazing. As I mentioned, when you're in a state of heart coherence, your nervous system downregulates, it calms down, and your brain functions better. And you begin to feel more confident, more grounded, and more intuitive, more tuned in. You feel greater certainty. And again, this is worth repeating. It is here that you can make decisions about who you are in your whole state, not in your state of fear. This is the state where you feel hopeful, heart-centered, compassionate, and appreciative of simply being. You're not in a place of fear or stress. This is tapping into your intuitive intelligence. It's that deep knowing that often comes before the mind has fully figured it out. This is where you will first access those whispers I spoke to you about in episode 2. If you've ever felt a clear yes or no in your body, or had a gut feeling that turned out to be right, or made a decision that made no sense but felt completely aligned, well, that is heart wisdom. It's not mystical, it's natural. You might call it the natural intelligence, or the real OGAI, ancient intelligence. And the more we connect with it, the more we learn to trust ourselves again. And the more we connect with it, the more we're able to turn it on with ease and operate from here more often. A little way to try this on for size is to write down a question. Make it something big. We're not looking for dinner ideas like, what should I have for dinner tonight? But something simple and big, like, what does my heart want me to know today? Or maybe is it time for me to move to a new city? Is this person the one? What does my child need most from me right now? This is your assignment this week. Write your question down and keep it in the back of your mind, or maybe more accurately said, in your heart throughout the day. Take some time to go for a walk in silence, practice yoga, do a meditation, make some art, cut the grass, fold some laundry. Do something that brings your nervous system into a calm state and just see what may come. This isn't a forceful thing. It's not on demand, but you do have to be listening for what comes. Pay attention and listen for that subtle whisper. And write down what comes. You may even be surprised at the depth of your wisdom, the idea of recognition, rephrased as recognition, remembering what you've already known. Or more simply put, remembering who you are, who you've always been at your core. So here's what I want to leave you with today. When you're standing at the edge of a pivot, when you know something needs to shift, but you don't know what yet, don't just live in your head. Get out of the logic and stop complaining endlessly about it to your partner or friends while doing nothing. A pro and con list will only take you so far as you balance logic with your expectations of yourself based on metrics that may no longer be true or based on a reality that doesn't fit you anymore. Practice coming home to your heart. You can do this through breathwork or meditation, taking quiet walks without distraction, journaling with your hand on your heart. Trust me on this one. Noticing how your body feels and when it's constricted versus when it feels open and expansive. You can do this when doing art. You can do this when in your garden, golfing, biking. The times when you come out of your head, into your heart, into your body. And you don't need to rush. You don't need to solve this today. You probably won't. Definitely not all of the questions you may have. But tuning into the heart, that's the first act of trust. And that trust builds self-confidence. And not the loud external kind, but the grounded, quiet kind that says, I may not know exactly what's next, but I know what's true for me right now. So let's end with a simple reflection. If you didn't do the exercise I mentioned earlier, do it, but you can do this one too. Take a quiet moment today and ask yourself, if my heart had a message for me right now, what would it say? Write it down. Don't analyze it. Don't filter it. Just listen. Because your heart, it's always ready and waiting to guide you. I want to thank you for being here. If this episode resonated, I'd love it if you shared it with someone else who's navigating change or left a review so more people can find their way here. I want to again invite you to head over to courageouspivot.com. Scroll down where you can access the free coherence training I mentioned. You can also find the full show notes on my Substack. They might still be on my blog, but we're working on getting everyone over to Substack because this is a small team of just me and my assistant, Jen, and Substack's making it very easy for us to get this podcast out there. Subscribe wherever you are listening. And remember, the most courageous pivot doesn't come from logic. It comes from truth. And your heart already knows the way. It always has. It's just waiting for you to listen. Thanks for being here. Have a beautiful rest of your day.